we're talking about healthcare, let's not forget my favorite biotech right now, Amgen. Stock I like so much that we own it for my charitable trust, which you can follow along by joining the ActionAlertsPlus.com club. Here's a company that throws off a ton of cash thanks to its huge portfolio of drugs, allowing it to pay a nearly 3% dividend, buy back stock hand over fist. On top of that, Amgen's got two new drugs. It's got Aimovig, that's a terrific migraine treatment that's worked wonders for me, and Repatha for LDL cholesterol, a drug that the company recently cut the price of to promote broader adoption. But beyond Repatha, I think this company's got a great story to tell, which is why I'm thrilled to sit down with Bob Bradway, the terrific, incredibly non-promotional chairman and CEO of Amgen, to get a better sense of where his company's headed. Mr. Bradway, welcome to Mad Money.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm so glad you're on this show.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, on behalf of the millions of migraine sufferers, I want to thank you. I was one of those people who had about 20 to 25 a month, which you know is a lot. And Dr. Lawrence Newman, who runs he's big in the Headache Society, runs neurology at NYU, said, listen, we've got this drug, and it's called Aimovig, and it's going to get rid of your migraines. You invented something huge.
Well, we're excited about it, Jim, and I'm glad you're getting benefit from Aimovig. And Aimovig is the first drug that was specifically developed for migraine sufferers. And it's a biologic, as you know, that interferes with the pathway that otherwise causes migraine. So the feedback so far from patients and doctors has been terrific.
It's very clear from the your conference calls that this may be one of the fastest launches. I know there's trialing, but one of the fastest launches you've ever seen in your career.
Well, that's right, Jim. We've had 150,000 patients already benefit from Aimovig. So I think what that reflects is the huge pent-up demand from migraine sufferers for a therapy developed specifically for them, and a therapy that can dramatically reduce the number of migraine days that sufferers experience.
Now, there are competitors. Teva's got a competitor. Lilly has a competitor. Lilly is telling me, look, ours is the easiest. You can get it at CVS and Walgreens. You probably got yours through McKesson. I have to admit, I did through McKesson, and sometimes it was hard because there was such a rush for them to get them on the phone. What are you going to do to make it more generally available?
Well, we're the first in class with this new biologic agent, Jim, and we're excited about doing everything we can to make sure that patients have access to it and have a good experience using the drug.
Okay, so Repatha, today you cut the price. This is another drug that really good cardiologists say you should be on, even if your cholesterol is not that high. Talk to me about what you've had to do to get it so that more people take this, given the fact that this is maybe the largest drug, I think, in history, if you get it right.
Well, maybe we can start, Jim, with the unmet medical need. Okay. Cardiovascular disease is still the biggest public health burden that we face as a society, not just here in the United States, but around the world. And so in the United States alone, we spend $600 billion a year on cardiovascular disease. And the main reason for that is LDL levels are too high. Right. So the bad cholesterol is LDL. This is a therapy, again, a biologic specifically designed to lower the bad cholesterol, LDL, which it does on average by 63%. But you're right, some time ago, and today we're making further change, but some time ago we lowered the price by 60% for the every 2 weekly dose, and today we're lowering it for the monthly as well. And we found too many patients were prescribed this therapy, but were struggling to pay for it at the pharmacy counter, and so we've made the decision to lower by 60% the cost, and the reaction so far from physicians and from patients has been very, very encouraging.
Well, would it make up for the fact that you cut the price? I mean, is it that kind of elasticity?
Well, I think what we're finding is that patients that were walking away from the prescription, so patients whose doctors had already identified them as being at high risk for heart attack and stroke, are now being able to get access to the medicine.
Okay, now you do have some other drugs that we know are, when I look at your Q3 18 product sales, you've got double-digit growth in new and recently launched products like Aimovig, I'm talking about. But then you have product sales growth of only 1% for the others, including some that are going down. Are you prepared with all your cash to be able to deal with the possibility that some people say, wait a second, those new drugs aren't happening fast enough and the old drugs are falling off faster?
Well, we have 4 areas of big growth right now. We have cancer. Our cancer portfolio is growing. Cardiovascular portfolio is growing. Bone health and migraine. And then in addition, we're launching biosimilar medicines, which we expect to be an important source of growth for us as well. So we expect to be a company that continues to grow handsomely on the top line and earnings per share over the long term. we're excited about the innovation that we see arising at our business.
Okay, recently, Elliot Levy, who's Senior Vice President of Global Development, said we have the flexibility to pursue small deals, large deals, partnerships, M&A, and we look at everything that's in the marketplace. Every time you see a deal that's done, you can assume that we have looked at it as well. Did you look at Celgene?
Well, we look at transactions that we think we can add value to, or look at companies that we think we can add value to. So we look at, in particular, those that are active in the chosen therapeutic areas of Amgen's focus. And so we pay close attention to what's happening in cancer, cardiovascular, bone health, inflammation, and disease areas like that.
Now, you have bought 733 million shares 5 years ago, now down to 649 million. The stock has had a run. Is it still valuable to buy even right here?
Well, I guess I'd say two things, Jim. We've committed to returning capital to our shareholders through the form of a dividend that we've steadily increased.
Right.
In fact, we've increased it by more than 400% since we initiated the dividend in 2011. And we've also been an active repurchaser of shares. And the commitment we've made to our shareholders is that capital allocation is a forethought, not an afterthought, and that we expect it will continue to be through buybacks and dividend growth.
Okay, there is a lawsuit going on. You said on the last conference call that there's a possibility that we get a judge's decision maybe in the first quarter for one of your most important drugs. And I'm wondering whether I should tell people to wait until the court decision comes down, or is it just something that you'll be buying back stock if it comes down?
Yeah, intellectual property is a feature of our industry, Jim, and at any given point in time, the leaders in our industry like Amgen have important intellectual property lawsuits, and we have some underway now, and I think that's what you're referring to.
Right, but someone who owns the stock should not be fretting every minute about these things.
Well, I think intellectual property defense is a fact of life, unfortunately, in the innovative biopharmaceutical industry.
So I want to go back to Aimovig and my favorite Dr. Newman, because he asked me to ask this. He says that it's very difficult to get the word out, that only about 10% of the people who could have these drugs know about them. And then there's a lot of other people who don't understand, who don't have migraines, who think that when you have a migraine, you're just a gold bricker. You're a guy with a headache. You're a guy who doesn't want to, doesn't work that day. This is a very different kind of illness. And unless you have one, I don't know if people know about it.
It's a very debilitating disease, and I think part of what we've been able to do with Aimovig is help explain the biologic basis of migraine and help people understand that this is a disease and that sufferers don't have to suffer in silence. And so we're doing our level best to try to educate patients, physicians, and payers, and employers as well, about the challenge of migraine, the fact that it is a serious neurologic disease, it's a very debilitating disease, and it's one that we may be able to help address with Aimovig.
And there's a lot of lost work days. There's a lot of lack of productivity for people who want to be productive with, even though they have migraines.
And migraine tends to afflict predominantly women, and again, in child rearing and peak working years. So this is a particularly relevant disorder and disease for people in the prime of their working and family lives.
Well, thank you for what you do. Okay, that's Bob Bradway. He's the chairman and CEO of Amgen. Yes, my favorite biotech. Mad Money's back at the break.
Thank you.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.